Hello people and welcome back to another episode of Clubhouse with me, Ben.
And me, Josh.
In today's episode we discuss fight of the century. Tommy Fury takes on Jake Paul. We also talk about the guy who's just won $2 billion in the lottery.
And topic of the week, we talk about the benefits of counselling and therapy.
If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. We're releasing a brand new episode every week.
So with that being said, subscribe and let's go. Jake Paul fighting Tommy Fury, that's the one, isn't it? I nearly forgot his name there. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about YouTubers boxing?
I don't have any issue with it, mate. I think it is what it is. Yeah. Like, it's all about eyeballs, isn't it? If you got a following, if you can sell a fight, why would you not do it? I don't know why Tommy Fury's doing it. Obviously there's money, but like, he has everything to lose. His family background, his brother or his cousin. Is Tyson his brother? Or
Tyson Fury's his older brother.
Older brother, yeah. So like, he comes from a fighting family. He's done well for himself already. He did not need to take the fight.
No. And not only does he come from a fighting family, his brother is one of the world's biggest,
the greatest to ever do it.
Boxer of like today's generation.
Yeah.
And I know he was on Love Island, wasn't he?
He was on Love Island.
So it's hard for people to take you serious as a boxer. I've seen him boxing. He's an okay boxer.
Yeah.
He's a legitimate boxer. But the whole YouTuber versus like boxer, I think it's completely fine. Why not? Like you said, it's a money marketing scheme.
Yeah.
And I think with like what's going on in the boxing world at the moment is it's not a very popular sport, right? Unless you're actually into boxing. It's not it's not the way McGregor got everyone's eyes on the UFC. Do you know what I mean? The boxers don't really have people like that. And I also find that, you know, like back in the day with Ali, Mike Tyson, like the OG Tyson, then they were animals, do you know what I mean? And they like stood for something and they like made it well known, and they were like king of the world. Do you know what I mean? Like I'll take anyone down. Anybody. Superstars, yeah. They were like Herculean, if that makes sense. You know, I'll go through anybody. As many fights as needed. Where now it's like, I don't think it doesn't have that same sort of oomph. It's like in a year's time we'll set up a fight between the two greatest guys, and they're fighting like once a year, once every 2 years or whatever. And it's so like intermittently, then how can you be the best in the world when you're hardly fighting?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Yeah, no, I don't see any issue with it at all. I think it's probably been good for the sport. A lot more people are talking about boxing that probably normally wouldn't be. So yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I think I'll watch this one.
Yeah, I'm up for it. Do you think, you know, a lot of people lean towards fix? How do you feel about that? Do you think people are fixing fights, or do you think that people are just salty because they're obviously YouTubers and stuff like that?
No, I think genuinely, like Jake Paul, yes, like the people he's fought, you can argue maybe like not in their prime, MMA fighters, so not professional boxers, but I think he's just got knockout power, and like he can knock people out, and all it takes is one punch. And I don't think they're fixed. I think he's just genuinely a pretty decent boxer. And like someone was saying it the other day, he's got all the money in the world. He's paying the best trainers, nutritionists, personal trainers, boxing specialists. All he's doing is training. He's taking it seriously. So
yeah. They're quite athletic people.
Very athletic.
His
brother's not doing WWE.
And his brother's good at WWE. I tuned into WrestleMania, mate. Because obviously it's WrestleMania and it's just quite like funny to watch. You know, you don't take it seriously, but if you sit down and want to have a good time, then you can get out of it. And he is sick.
Yeah.
He is fucking like proper athletic. He knows exactly what he's doing. And you see that in the training videos of like Jake Paul and
yeah.
And like you said, when you have a lot of money, you know, why would you want to take 3 punches to the face?
Exactly, yeah. No, I think he's... I don't think it's as easy a fight for Tommy as he maybe thinks, but we'll see.
I think that obviously, you know, when you come out the gate with arrogance and you're a bit of a tit sort of thing, people are a lot quicker to hate you and make an enemy of you. When you're given that sort of like, you're giving them, because people dislike this kid a lot, right?
Yeah. I think Tommy's on record as saying, I don't even need to train for this fight. I don't need to take this seriously. He might be right, but he could also be terribly wrong. So
yeah, it's going to be good to watch as well, because like you just brought up a second ago, that the record that Jake Paul has had through boxing has been with, people could say they're has-beens, even though they were great at one time. So they can still fight to an extent. But when he's knocking out like ex-UFC fighters, it's quite cool, like regardless of how old these people are or they're past their prime they are. But this is like really the catalyst that's going to say, I'm legit. I told you not to fuck with me. Against... You were never legit. Do you know what I mean?
I think his problem is no matter what he does, he's not going to be taken seriously.
Even if he wins?
Even if he wins, they'll say, well, Tommy's an average professional boxer. You need to fight somebody who's had 30 fights, not 10 fights. So,
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
I think he's just, because of his background and because he's not like... he's quite, what's the word, not outspoken, controversial. Like he goes after Dana White for not paying the fighters enough, calls out people. See when he called out McGregor?
That was class.
I
think he came with receipts as well. I think he like in his video that he released, he's like, you're always cheating on your wife and that, and then boom, flashed a photo of him in bed with some random bird.
He really went, he took him to the cleaners. But yeah, so he's quite controversial. He's outspoken. He's ruffling a few feathers. He's the new kid on the block. He shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be there.
And there's a confidence in that though. That's quite admirable. Like McGregor's the last person I'd wind up.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like
Geezer would jump on a flight and come to your house.
Talk. Yeah, like he's like the king of trash talk.
Yeah,
and he just absolutely done him over. But yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it. I think it's. I think, did you hear his dad, Tommy's dad, and his brother said if he loses, he has to change his second name.
Did he?
And I think I seen Jake Paul did a tweet or something where he said, I'm flying to London to get that in writing.
He loves doing that. He always has these little clauses in the contract.
You getting
tattoos or something.
He had to get a tattoo when he knocked him out, yeah.
That's so embarrassing.
But yeah. But it just shows you, right? Like, once you build a following, you're so valuable. Like Jake Paul, if you think about it, did start on YouTube as a prankster. Then he went and he became like a bit more of a mature YouTuber and that. But like, if you think about it, on paper, he didn't really have any right fighting the people. You would never say he's going to fight the people he's going to fight and be as big as he is in the world of boxing at the minute. Like, everyone knows his name. But because he has a following and he can get attention and get people to buy these fights, he's been able to do what he can do, what he's doing. So
yeah, well, precisely. Look, like Tommy Fury's a professional boxer, like that's his world, right? And there's nobody, at least I don't think there is, where Tommy Fury could get a bigger purse than fighting somebody who's actually not even a professional boxer.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, like there's no fight that he could take where he would earn more money.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
So as a person that's, if you're getting punched in the face for a living, and that's how you earn money, I'll fight the dude that's going to make me the most money.
Yeah, you're right.
I wouldn't care how legit he was either.
Yeah, you're right.
I got nothing to prove, because that's just egotistical, isn't it? So I'm just going to stay in my lane and fight like mini professionals and earn a quarter of the amount if I could just go after this dude.
Yeah, if you're taking
why people get called out.
Yeah, you're right. If he's doing it for the money, then yes, but because of his background and like who his brother and dad are,
his is a bit different. Yeah, that's true.
But you're right. I reckon, I don't know, you'd have to check this, but I think Jake Paul's probably earned more in his boxing career than 95% of boxers, professional boxers, ever will or ever had made. I bet it's like the top 10% of boxers that make real money. And even then, Jake Paul's probably made a lot more than them. A lot of them.
And the money comes from pay-per-views.
Yeah.
The money comes from... Does Eddie Hearn pay boxers?
Yeah, so I think he's a promoter, so he'll organise the fights, set them up.
Right. Easy life, eh?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Dealing with boxers and organising fights. But yeah, it's there's a lot of money in it. A lot of money in it.
Logan,
crazy money.
Obviously, Logan fought Floyd.
Yeah.
Which is like insane.
It is.
Which if you ever 5-10 years ago said, Logan Paul will fight a retired Floyd Mayweather one day, you would say no.
There's a lot of conspiracies going around Mayweather, saying that he's like on the verge of bankruptcy, which is why he's taking all these crazy
money fights. Mayweather, got no money.
Well, I think he's like a massive spendthrift where he's just balling every day, like millions and millions of pounds he's spent on watches, private jets.
Catches up with you, eh?
Does catch up with you. You get like to a certain level of lifestyle, you need to be able to bring in the money to sustain it. And I don't know how true it is, obviously, but
And yeah, well,
like, why would he fight Logan Paul? Why? You are one of the greatest boxers to ever do it. You're undefeated. You've beat every challenger. You fought like all the best people that you could. Why?
Yeah, you spent your life undefeated. Is that 50-0 or something?
50-0, yeah, because he fought McGregor, classed as a actual professional.
So that's mate. But he keeps doing that. He keeps having like these exhibition matches with
Japan.
people, and like, what's
crazy.
the point in that?
Yeah.
Where something bad could happen and you could sacrifice that. But what people say, Logan Paul says this as well, that Mayweather's not paid him.
Yeah.
He hasn't paid him any money.
Yeah.
He says it quite on the Andrew Scholes thing, and quite some depth. So I don't know, but yeah, like you said with the Tommy Fury thing, man, it's a different kind of legacy.
It is, mate. I don't know if it's like worth it. How much is he? He's very well off, mate, and so is his missus. They met on Love Island. She's super successful, built her own brand, works for these massive companies now.
Oh yeah, I know the one, the blonde girl. She's a nice girl, her.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Do you think you could carry on being a professional boxer
if you get beat by
Jake Paul?
You don't come back from that, mate. Even like, let's say, like, yes, you could mentally. You're supposed to be a professional boxer, and you get beat by someone that's been doing it a couple of years. Let's say a YouTuber, as people call him.
Yeah, it would be
every fight you go into, every like time it gets a little bit ropey. That's going to be going through your head, isn't it?
Yes. It's funny that because I agree. I'd think it'd be very hard for your career to blossom post that.
Yeah.
But then how much power is that one person got, like Jake Paul? That I also think you could switch it, and you could also make it like Tommy would look like a well better if you beat him. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like the biggest win ever, more than he could get out of anyone else.
Yes, because people hate him, but people were just gonna say, yeah, you should have beat him anyway. He's a YouTuber, so it's like. It's one of those almost like, what have you got to gain from this?
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly, yeah.
Because if you do, well, yeah, you should have beaten me on YouTube. But if you don't, you pussied out a YouTuber.
Yeah. And he's dropped out a couple of times, I think, already. I think this is the second or third time they've tried to put this fight together.
When's it due?
This month, end of this month, 28th or 26th or something.
Oh, sound, man. This is a good month for like UFC and fighting. Like, there's a guy returning, best UFC fighter ever, John Jones. You ever heard of him? Yeah. A lot of controversy around him. Like, he's done some bad like
caught
things.
Caught on the roids, didn't it?
Yeah, caught on the roids. A lot of drink driving charges, domestic violence charges, hit and run, and then fled the scene, left the pregnant woman in the car. Yeah. And so it's not good. But he's an unbelievable fighter. I watched his video on him, and like, it's funny because they're like, it was a promo for him, but they started the promo with him. And I don't know why I find it so funny, but his garage door opens, right, and he sprints out his garage door with a shotgun. And it's on one of like a grainy CCTV, and basically like some people were checking his like forecourt to rob the gaff. He must have seen him, yeah. But all the comments are so funny. It's like, imagine you're robbing a gaff, yeah. Not only does a garage door open and John Jones is there, but a coked up John Jones with a shotgun sprinting at you at the speed of light. Like, this guy's an absolute nutcase anyway. His trash talking's so funny. He's so psychotic. Doesn't lose his cool.
A big boy as well, isn't he?
Massive. Yeah. And he knocks people out like with some insane sort of knockouts that you've never seen. So he's returning after a 3-year like hiatus, coming back. I think it's March the 4th. He's fighting someone called Cyril Gane, it's his heavyweight debut as well. So he's actually in a different weight class.
He's gone up a bit.
Yeah, I've been betting on the UFC a bit
at the moment.
Now the Islam and the Volkanovski fight, I've been doing rounds, because rounds is like you put 30 quid on, you can get like 300-400 back, which is good. You know what I mean? That's a well good return. So I put 30 quid on one round, 30 quid on the other one, but it went the length, so I didn't get anything. But you just need those ballsy ones. I think I might whack 100 quid on a round soon. Yeah, and I might record like a video out.
Yeah,
the reaction and when I lose as well. And I might just start a whole vlog of me losing bets,
smashing up the flat.
People always say you only hear what people win. I'm gonna be the first guy ever that only shows losses.
Yeah. I watched the crazy. Have you ever watched any of CoffeeZilla's content? Have you watched the one where he goes into Steve Will Do It and the Note Boys?
No.
About the online gambling.
No, I've seen other people do that.
You need to look at it. It's
a lot of people taking Steve Will Do It like down because they done statistics and they said this many people become gamblers off of this many people. So you have definitely birthed a certain amount of gamblers.
Yeah. And it's all, it's not like the way they were doing it. They would stream them gambling, but it turns out that the company was giving them a balance on their account. They weren't gambling with their own money. They were getting free money from the companies and then pretending to be like high stakes gambling. So that's what he says. He's like, you've gone on stream with millions of people pretending to be a high stakes gambler. You get referrals. So every time someone signs up using your code, you get money from all the bets that they place.
Fuck, man.
And like exactly what you said, he works out in the video, like it's on average 3% of gamblers are addicts. Therefore, you signed up 3 million people. Therefore,
you've made 30,000 gamblers.
Yeah, it was crazy. And he goes in on them, like he does like a whole. It's very like, what's the word?
Detective. Yeah, he turns into a proper Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
his Logan
really
Paul videos are class.
Yeah,
and they're like mini documentaries as well.
That's it.
You see the Logan Paul? Crypto scam one, the CoffeeZilla does. Yeah. CoffeeZilla's a beast, man. And he's finally getting a bit of recognition he deserves as well. That Moist Critical, the guy I showed you, Penguins, Zero, he always speaks about CoffeeZilla. He loves him. Like they help each other out in that sort of way. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Every other YouTuber talking about he's like free real estate.
Yeah, it's
But I read that with the Now Boys, and that's why Steve Will Do It got his account terminated for promoting gambling.
Yeah. But it's crazy, even on that, he's like, there's people with dedicated gambling accounts on YouTube who don't get banned. But I think it's something to do with him showing the .com at the end or the dot.
Such a ropey thing. And YouTube are hard to talk to as well. You can't just email them and say like, why am I banned? And they give you like a thing. It's just like, it's just like, you've been terminated. Can I have an explanation? No.
Yeah.
There you go. So I'm up for that, man. Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. Do a little. What do you reckon? Do a result. Throw one out here.
I think there might be an upset.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just have this feeling. He's not maybe taking it seriously. He's gone on record as to say he's not even been training. I think.
Jake Paul or Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury's been saying that. I don't even need to train,
Yeah, I think so. He's not taking
and no offense to Tommy Fury, but he when I see him talking, he just looks like someone who should not be getting punched in the head anymore. I'll go with Jake Paul. Pre-round 5.
Pre-round 5.
Pre-round 5 stoppage.
To get an upset, wouldn't it? Because you know that it's going to kick off on YouTube.
I like that. Media. I like people like getting pissed off. Do you know what I mean? That makes me happy sometimes. And in this situation, it definitely will. So yeah, I'll go Jake Paul 5th round.
5th round.
If we're to be specific.
Yeah, I don't know how many rounds it doing, but yeah, I reckon it'll go a few rounds and then it'll get a bit.
And the thing is with these type of fights as well, you never know what the other person is training for. Like in the UFC, the Islam versus Volkanovski fight, right? Islam's notorious for wrestling people. So he knew Volkanovski was going to train with, he actually trained with like world-class wrestlers all the time. But then he didn't take into account Islam's actual punches. Yeah. So what he didn't take into account for actually shocked him. And that happened for like each person because they had like specific things they were good at, but they underestimated what they weren't known for.
Yeah, McGregor did that with Habib. He said that, I think, in the post-fight conference where he said, I didn't go with my normal game plan of striking. And I trained a lot of wrestling, because Habib's like the best wrestler. He was the best wrestler in the division. So yeah, you think you're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
but it's
precisely.
Like game of poker. It's like a double bluff.
It is.
You know he's going to train shitloads of wrestling, so I'm going to go out and strike.
Exactly. Like, what did Jake Paul knock that geezer out with? Was it a right hook or a left hook? Whatever one it was, like. So you say, I know he's good at left hook, so I'm going to spend in my camp, I'm going to make sure I know how to duck left hooks. Yeah. And then he catches you with that right, and you're like, fuck, I didn't even take the right into account. And that could happen for anyone. The only thing I hope does not happen, where they run around a ring for 12 rounds. Like Mayweather and Logan Paul. Yeah. And you don't get that many fucking punches actually in.
There's talk about that being fixed, because during the fight, there's some footage released where Logan's like to Mayweather, take it easy, calm down. not during in the middle of the round.
Some audio
where it's like he's almost like this is supposed to be a
we have a plan here. Stick to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jesus, wow, it'll be good to see what happens. Cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a wrap for that one. Next, we are going to talk about this. See, this geezer won the biggest lottery ever. It was in America actually. It's not in the UK, so who cares? Now I'm joking. But he won $2 billion.
Is that the biggest lottery win
ever? Yeah, 2 billion, man.
What do you think of that amount in terms of that being the amount the lottery was?
Don't know, because it gets to a point like in a life like this, what's the difference between 1 billion and 2? Obviously a full billion, but like you can get everything you've ever desired with a billion.
To have that amount won by one person just seems crazy to me.
Unfair?
Not unfair, like it is what it is. You buy a lottery ticket, you know what you're buying into. It's a lottery, you're gambling. But like, imagine that was split into, so a billion is 1,000 millions, yeah?
Yes.
So let's say it was split into, I can't do the maths. 1,000 prizes of 1 million. That could change 1,000 people's lives. Or, I don't know, 100 prizes of 10 million, whatever the maths is.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be.
Does somebody, I think they were like a 60-year-old man or mid-50s.
Yeah, they were.
Do they need a billion?
No.
2 billion, sorry.
Where do you start? What do you even do with that? People get confused. I used to see this fact back in the day. Guess how many seconds 1 million seconds would be? A week, 2 weeks?
This is crazy.
Yeah.
So 1 million seconds?
Yeah.
2 weeks?
I believe it's 11 days.
11 days.
Do you know how long a billion is?
Go on.
32 years. Then they're not even near each other, right?
How could 11 days versus 30 years?
I know.
So if you think of someone as a billionaire.
Yeah, it's insane. It's an insane amount of money.
Wow.
Good for that bloke, obviously. Well done to him. At that age as well. What's the first thing you'd do? People always say, what's the first thing you'd do? Actually, what would be your plan? Like, what's the first thing you would do? Because you'd celebrate and probably pass out. But what would you do? How would your life turn around?
See, I think because I've heard a lot of horror stories, like people winning the lottery and big sums of money, and it kind of, there's this difference between money won and money earned. Yeah, it's like, it can really I think Jordan Peterson talks about, he's like, people say they want to win the £400 million lottery. He's like, do you really want that? Because your life will be unrecognisable to what it is now, and it's a lot of responsibility. You think of £2 billion or dollars. So I think I'd try and be like, as much as I could, smart with it, and think, this can't... Do you know what I mean? Almost like, will I do something philanthropic? Will I start charity work? I'll need something. I can't just fucking go and party and enjoy that money and buy nice cars, buy nice houses, fly over the world. I think that's where you're going to just slippery slope before you're kind of... So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to win that kind of money, man.
Really?
I don't think I'd want to.
Yeah.
No, that's probably a stupid thing to say.
But it's... I would love to, because I think I would be a super sensible, smart person. I know for a fact I'd not let it get to my head through just through seeing life how it is. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to work every single day for the rest of my life, and that would put you in a position not to. First thing I'd do, I'd study how to make that last properly. I'd quit my day. I'd read for a month straight books on how to think. I'd go sort my mum out. That'd be my priority, man. I'd just get her a house, put a deposit down for her house, give her some money, make sure the people around me are okay in a sensible way. Do you know what I mean? Not like, here's a house, every single person, let's go, we're rich. I'd do it financially planned out. Do you know what I mean? And I'd have a house that had a music studio in it, and I'd have a new guitar collection, and I'd make it last. I know for a fact. I would never, even a couple mil. I would do something with a couple mil that made sure that I never had to work again, whether it's buy a couple of properties and rent them out, because I could go back to being have less money. I don't care about having less money. But if I had my own life, that would be like a priority. Do you know what I mean?
I don't disagree, but I think there's a difference between a couple mil and 2 billion. Yeah.
Oh, massive.
2 billion, you could solve world problems. You could, well, you maybe not solve them yet, but you could. The responsibility. I feel like if you have that kind of money, you have a responsibility. It comes with a responsibility to try and make the world a better place. Nobody in this world needs 2 billion. There's nothing you could not spend it if you tried, yeah, unless you're just being stupid with it. So for me, it's like, I feel like that kind of money comes with all these kind of strings attached. I think I would feel that, like, that would be my reaction. Shit, I'm now a multi-billionaire, 2 billion. How am I going to make the best use of that money to have a positive impact on the world? A couple of mil, you're right. I reckon that's not a manageable amount. That's like a good amount to win, because you're right. You do exactly what you said. Help your family out, sort your friends out, set your life up so you don't have to work again. Be smart with it. Make a few investments so you got money coming in each month. Happy days. But yeah, 2 billion.
Do you know as well, like you saying that with being a billionaire, you couldn't walk around how me and you walk around today.
No.
You'd get the people that would desire to kidnap you if they knew that you were just like walking around.
So
like,
how'd have to be anonymous, yeah?
You'd have security. You'd need all day, everyday security. And then what does that do to your mental health in the back? Like, you've always got people standing outside your house. You would need that. Because some gangster or something would just come and get you, man.
And it wouldn't be hard for them to fight. Like, imagine just, let's say you spend a little bit of money on yourself, you buy yourself a new nice house, your family a new nice house, you get a nice watch, a little nice car. Boom, all of a sudden, where's he getting all that money from all of a sudden? Or, yeah, you're right. I think your life would change in that kind of way as well.
So let me ask you this. If someone said you could have 2 billion now, yeah, or said you could make 5 or 6 grand a month and not have a day job anymore, what would you take?
I think you've got to take the 2 billion.
Yeah.
I think you have to take the chance on it because of the positive impact you could have on the world.
So yeah, so if you've done it correctly.
If you've done it correctly, I think that's a big if. I think it's a lot of responsibility. Everyone's going to be after you for your money. Everyone's going to be saying, I can fix this for you. I can solve this problem in the world, when really they know you've just come into 2 billion. So
look at the spam emails you're getting out.
Yeah.
And then a couple
Some Nigerian princess rescuing. Or
you'd have to start a new email address just for those type of people.
Yeah.
Would you tell everyone? Would you remain confident?
Anonymous.
Anonymous, sorry.
I think you've got to remain anonymous, mate.
Without a doubt, I'd remain anonymous. I would not. There would
What's
not be
the upside to telling people?
No inclination for me to everyone know I was rich.
No.
Even if something happened to me now and I got a load of money, I wouldn't tell us. I would tell. Obviously, the people that needed to know would know.
You wouldn't tell the world. You'd tell your family,
I would not.
friends.
There's no reason to, except for if you're that's just showing off. Because you will get people knocking at your door, and people have sad stories, man. People need money, and who do you help?
When do you say no?
Do you have the empathy?
Could you ever say no?
Do you have the lack of empathy to turn down cancer treatment for somebody, someone's kid? If someone came to you and said that, no, you got to do that. Do you know what I mean?
And then you're just thousands of.
And then someone else asks you, and then that could be a route back to no money. Obviously, 2 billion is different, but
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. It's hard. And about the people you don't help.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm
not
like,
so easy.
Would I say yes to 2 billion? Because then you're in a position where like you could help people like that. So like there's a lot of responsibility with that.
That would be the best life ever.
Do you think?
Helping people would be the best life ever. If you could do it in a way where you had your money, you were okay, and you knew how to keep it, and you could go and help people.
Yeah, see, I guess it's
the look on someone's face, man.
It's the way you look at it. Like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, but what if I helped the wrong people and there's people that needed it more? What if I'd have spent that money on this, say I put my money into figuring out, like, climate change.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd have put the money in, and it helps, let's say, 1 million people. And then I could have put my money, I should have invested in these projects that we're working on hunger, because that could have saved 10 million people. Like this, I don't know. I just think of
what I would think. That's the big way of looking at it. I think you just got to get in your boat and row it.
Yeah.
And just say, this is my decision.
Yeah. Stick by your decision. I'm helping. I'm doing the best I can.
You could be someone else. Do you know what I mean? You could be a horrible person, doesn't give a crap about anyone. So
do you think
helping
you would
one
change?
person? Do I think I would change? I think I would be. I know I'd be a lot happier because I'd be able to spend my time just doing completely what I wanted, and that's such a big thing for me. Like that's like the epitome of making it to me is that if I woke up in the morning, and today was just I could do whatever I want. Do you know what I mean? Like obviously I just got back from Tenerife, and
Here's one then. If you woke up tomorrow,
yeah,
what would you do with your time?
what would I do with my time?
If you woke up tomorrow, you
And
could do
I didn't
whatever
have a
you
job.
want. Yeah, what would you do?
And how long does that last?
As long as you want it.
As long as I want.
How do you think you would spend that time?
Cool. I think I'd write an album.
Do you?
Yeah, I think I'd get up every morning, I'd go to the gym, I'd get a cold shower, I'd probably go down the beach or a bit of fresh air for half an hour, go back to the gaff about 10 a.m. and I'd just start writing an album. Yeah, and I'd have nothing like lingering in the back. I don't have to be anywhere, and then I'd do that for a month or two, or that'd be what option A. Option B is if money was an option, I'd get a house that I loved, that I felt comfortable in. It doesn't need to be huge. Had a couple of things that I enjoyed in it, and every 2 months I'd get out of it for 2-3 weeks, and I'd come back and I'd have the security of my own place. But I'd still be seeing the world. Every 2 months, I'd go away for 2 weeks. I'd come back and then do that. Because I'm really into like backpacking and not showering and all that, and like living in like hostels and that. I could do it, but I'd prefer not to. If I had an option, I'd just hop on flights, man, and then come back every month or two, and I'd do that. And it'd just be so peaceful, man, so serene and tranquil, and it'd be a good life, man. That's what I'd do. That's like the personal stuff I'd do. Helping people would be limitless. Do you know what I mean? I'd stick my nan in a house right next to mine. Do you know what I mean? So I could just walk next door in the morning and check on her every morning and make sure my mum's alright. Tell my mum that if you want to get out of here and you've been working your whole life, you don't really want to live in Jersey anymore. You want to go get a gaff in France or something like you talk about sometimes. Here you go. And how happy would that make you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be the best life ever. I'd do anything to have that, and that's it. And that would be like the height of my thing. I don't need Lamborghinis and be surrounded by models and girls and I don't know, like drinking or in nightclubs. I don't like all of that. It's not for me.
Over that.
Yeah, it's not for me. Like that's more of a bachelorette lifestyle to me than an actual rich you've made it lifestyle. I'd do that, man. I'd have a music studio and I'd just learn how it all works. And I'd spend my days learning. I would still kind of go to work, but it'd be my own work. You know what I mean? It wouldn't work for some company that don't know me. It'd just be my little work. Where I wake up every morning, I'm learning let me learn everything about music that's ever like, well, you know how many different keys and chords and infinite amounts of stuff. And then all the technology that's available these days that I'm not privy to. Do you know what I mean? I don't have a clue how any of it works. I'd love to get to know all that. It takes time, and I mean it's doable now and stuff like that. But in the evening after a day's full of work, and I've got we've got all the stuff we do in the evening. Sometimes it's hard to find time in a day. But if you just got up, I would still get up early, man, and I'd just have my own day.
Yeah.
It'd be bliss.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? 'Cause it's like, if money was no object, and it's like, what does that mean though? Because obviously a lot of the stuff you said there is like you'd need a lot of money to be able to do that for your nan. But let's say it was like, would you take? And I think about this a lot. Would I take a pay cut if money's not important to me? Yeah. Would I take a pay cut to do something that maybe I would enjoy more than I do now? So I like working, I like being busy, I love learning new things, but then would I be willing to sacrifice how much I earn to take a huge step back to go into something that maybe I would enjoy more? It's like, or you could probably get a job as an audio technician from the very beginning, and like work your way up, start from the beginning, or I could go and do a job maybe like, I don't know what I always wanted to do. I'm really into editing at the minute. I could just go, fuck it, I'm going to call it a day in finance and I'm going to go and start from the beginning and become a trainee as an editor. But I don't think I would do it.
Don't think you'd do that?
I don't think I would do it. I don't want to do it, I don't think. And I think I would resent, like, let's say I love editing at the minute. I think if I took a step back and like had to really pull the belt in, stop spending, sell here,
sell here, mate.
Sell
Do you know
here,
what I mean?
move into like back into a smaller place or whatever, I think I would then resent editing. I would like, fuck, it's become one of those jobs where I'm like, oh, I hate this, I want to earn more money.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean, mate. It's a...
Isn't it?
I'm with you.
It's
I'm with
a
you.
strange kind of thing. It's like if I won the lottery, all I would do is edit all day from tomorrow. So why don't you?
Just
You don't need to win the lottery.
Yeah.
Just go and get a job in editing. But then I'm like, I don't think it's like that simple.
It's not, because it comes with too many sacrifices. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially where we live, it's an expensive place to live, so you need a certain amount of money. I've gone through the exact same thing, which we'll speak about after when we talk about therapy. It's like I'm at a crossroads with I've done 2 years of a training to become a counsellor. The next level I do is a diploma. But I know once you start in that career, I'd have to take a massive pay cut. I'd love to go into schools and help kids and talk to kids and counsel kids, man, because I think they need it. And I just think I'd be good at speaking to people like that. But I know to start, and it's not about money. Like, counseling's not about money at all. You just do it if that's what you enjoy. But I know if I'd done that, I wouldn't be able to get a mortgage on a bigger place 3 times, 4 times as longer than what it would take me now if I stayed in the bank. Do you know what I mean? So where's the thing? Do I go and become a counsellor and live in a place, you know, that I can't raise a family in? Or do I go and stay in the bank and be able to have enough money where I can then get a mortgage for a house where I can raise a family in? Or go on more holidays and have a better life? What do I sacrifice? Do I sacrifice a more mundane life for a more fulfilling career? Or do I have a career that I less enjoy, but outside of that, my life's a lot better?
It's such a difficult one. I've wrestled with this for the last couple of years. Like, is there an optimal balance between the two, money versus doing what you love, let's say? Like, I'm lucky, I enjoy my job, I do, but like when I was younger, I was very creative. I thought I would do something a bit different, and it just didn't end up that way into finance, and it's done very well for myself, but it wasn't as creative as I thought my career would be. But then I'm like, I don't know if the balance for me is hobbies. So like, I guess it's a little bit different. The job I'm doing now, I really enjoy. So I don't mind my day. I enjoy my day, and like I'm enjoying my work. There's loads of opportunity. I get to travel and stuff. So, and then I'm really like hooked in on the editing as like a pastime. Yeah. So like maybe like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there is an optimal balance between the two. But I think you can't disregard how important money is. No. I don't think you can. And I think you can say, yeah, it's not about money, it's not about this, but like having a little bit of money and a bit of disposable income, it's like a huge weight off your shoulders, like in so many departments. Bills, you can afford holidays, you can buy new things, you can wear nice clothes. Whether you want to admit it or not, like those things, I think matter to a lot of people. Oh, without a doubt, that's it. That's the nail on the head, mate. All the cruxes of life with like anxiety and depression and paying bills and money is such a big portion. You know the classic "money doesn't buy happiness" quote. That's wrong. It's so wrong. I know it doesn't buy happiness. I get like what sort of value or moral that's trying to portray when they say that, but it depletes everything else that can help make you happy. Do you know what I mean? It's very, very, very important. It's very important. No, you're right. Especially now. But you know what I think, and that's why, like, you know what we're doing with this podcast and that. Obviously, I don't know where that would ever take us, but me and you have dabbled in the idea that, you know, how great would it be to have a sponsor or something that could just say, boys, I like what you create. Do this for a living. I'm gonna pay you and quit your day jobs. And like that's the epitome that we've talked about of like making it, wouldn't it? And you could do this. You could be editing every day. And if someone paid us to do that, how sick would that be? Would you be happy with that? Would you? What if I earned the same level of income? If you say it's the same level of income, it's nothing more. Yeah, just say that. Just say that. If someone said, "Now quit your job, do this for a living," would you do it? Yeah, I think you'd be silly not to if it's something you genuinely enjoy. And there's no financial loss to, like you're replacing your income like for like. Yeah, you'd be silly not to. But I don't think that's realistic. Like it's absolutely possible that this could become something and will become something, yeah. But like for 99% of people, I think it's so difficult to replace your income with something you love or earn a a decent enough salary doing something you love, that is probably unattainable for most people. Therefore, there has to be a better, like another optimal solution for the majority of people that won't be able to, replace their income with something they're genuinely passionate about.
Yeah, man. It's a difficult one. I think I would. Yeah. I'd quit my job instantly.
Of course. So if you're replacing your income like for like to do something you love.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it?
But like you said, yeah, it can't happen for everyone.
You can't. And like, you got to think as well, this is the thing as well, like let's say with this podcast, in order to get it to a position where that's even a possibility, we're going to have to grind that out around our day job. We're going to have to, like, I'm editing like 5-6 hours a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm doing solid like 8-hour days on Sunday to get it ready for posting at 6 p.m, prepping the scripts, learning how to do audio, learning how to do camera. So like, it comes at a cost. You've got to put the time and effort in for it to even be a possibility. And then the possibility is a very small chance because there's so many people. It's competitive,
I know. And that's why I think if you can incorporate some sort of enjoyment into it, then it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can get there in a different sort of route and path, whereas you're trying to do it to become rich or to become, if it's just money orientated and your heart ain't really in it, then it's going to be such a different road than if you're doing it with a little bit of passion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because if you do it with passion, it's something you want to do it, and then you also happen to like be able to monetize that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the real winner, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But it's hard to do things around work. Do you know what I mean? Like we try hard with this. You like the editing you do is crazy, and it's like it is time consuming. But
you're right.
It comes back
to it. Yeah, and it comes back. What exactly you just said. I enjoy it. It doesn't feel. It's not hard for me because I love it. Like I look forward. I get up early every morning. I do an hour and a half, 2 hours editing before work. Like I look forward to getting up and doing that. I want to go to bed earlier so I can wake up early to do it. So like to your point, if you find something, if you're passionate about it and you're not just doing it for the money, it's probably more likely to succeed. But yeah, who knows? I think it's a question that a lot of people will struggle with. Passion versus money, and. Like, do you like a lot of people probably don't even know what they're passionate about, and then like what really makes them tick. And then if it's a hobby, like I love reading, you can't monetize that. Well, you could monetize that. Actually, that's wrong. You could start a book club. You could start a blog about books. You could do YouTube videos on summaries.
There's YouTube channels that dedicate their lives to books that are really good at it.
There is a lot you can
and that's because they were bookworms growing up, and they started talking to a camera about how they love books. And a couple of people tuned in and was like, "Oh, I like your sense of humor. I like your personality." And then suddenly you're rich because you're talking about books. And you're like, how did I ever got here? And it's crazy. And like we don't even know some of the things out there. People like get paid to go around the world, going in different coffee fucking cafes and trying coffees and talking about it online. But I don't know, man. How many options are there? Like,
I think with the internet, the options are endless because it's like. It's almost like you can put content out there or put stuff out there, and if people like it, people click, then it's between you and them if you monetize it or not. So like you could have a non-fiction book club on a very like niche topic that, like, let's say you get 10,000 people, that's enough probably to figure out how to monetize it to make a half decent living.
That's it.
So it's not even like you don't need big numbers. I don't think. I think you could little niche kind of topics, small little communities that are passionate. You all love the same thing.
Mate, that's it. If it does take it's not as many people as you think following you. That dawned on me once. I used to follow this girl on Instagram called Sophie something. She's a guitarist from England, right? And you could pay like £10 a month to go on her Patreon and get like special tabs and special lessons, and they're really cool. But at the top it would tell you how many people done it. So it's like 200 people she had as like monthly subscribers. So what's 200 times 10? That's $2,000.
Yeah. So
that's like she gets $2,000 a month off the internet, defo at least.
Yeah.
And you can see, and that was a couple of years ago. So if she's at 400 now, 400 people, just 400 people want to learn guitar for her. That's not a lot at all. That's $4,000 a month.
This is why I think like content when we talked, I think it was like our first episode, we talked about why we were doing this, and I think content is like where it's at the minute. If you could put content out there that people find valuable, there's no limit to what you can do, really. If you can build an audience and like provide value where people like enjoy what you're putting out, there's so many options available to you.
Yeah. So we'll do an update about this when we're sponsored. We're rich and we have that billion
plaque on the wall.
Yeah. I just got back from London actually today, and I bought 3 different Euro Millions, Belly. So bring it on.
Fingers crossed.
So anyone who listens to this, put me in your prayers, and then if I win it, you know what I mean, I will do that thing to our 10th subscriber, our first ever subscriber.
We'll give you $1 million.
Which was me paying myself. Cool. Wow. Yeah, we'll wrap that up there. Are we going on to topic of the week?
So we thought this would be a good one because therapy, I think these days therapy is a lot more accepted and spoken about. A lot more people have had therapy or would consider getting therapy, which probably isn't the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Anxiety is a big thing. Social anxiety at the minute.
Mental health's
really
less taboo.
Less taboo. So, I guess the kind of question I wanted to discuss and like we'll try and kind of see where we're at is therapy. Is therapy beneficial? And if you're struggling with mental health, is that a good route to take?
Yeah.
And obviously, you've got quite a bit of experience in this with your counselling course that you've done.
Yeah.
So you could probably speak to that as well.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I started. So it's the Tara Centre in Jersey, CPCAB, I think it's called, which is like therapeutic sort of counselling. They teach you quite a lot. The first 2 years was good. If I do the next level, it's the diploma. And I think once you have your diploma, you have your qualification. But anyway, besides all that, like, I found it beneficial. So at the end of every lesson, it was 3 hours a week, one night. You do triad work for an hour. So you go into pairs, you go into threes, and you counsel someone. So I would counsel you in like a mock setting. But you had to bring your real problems and your real... you have to talk about your life. So it teaches you how to open up. Do you know what I mean? It's like, this is just from the course. Like we'll talk about actually having counselling ourselves after. But then you'd also be getting observed. So someone just watches you and then gives you feedback. That's a confidence builder in itself. And I used to love like getting the feedback, man, because it helps a lot. People see things that you don't see. So it was always constructive, do you know what I mean? And then you just switch around, you rotate. So you do a bit of counselling, you be a counsellor, and you observe, and then everyone has a go at doing each. That lasts about an hour.
Question.
Yeah.
How did it feel? So, see, people that go to counselling or feel like they need counselling probably have some quite serious or could have some quite serious issues. Did you feel like a lot of responsibility being the one that not only was like had to listen to them, but also had to kind of counsel them through, and kind of help them? I don't know, is counselling, are you getting over your issues? What is it you're trying to achieve with these kind of
I think in these mock settings, obviously I'll never go into content because that's like a a massive rule that, don't it?
Yeah, of course. A
breach of like confidentiality. But you do... there is a sense of like wanting to help people. But I don't know, obviously those are all mock, and you're learning, everyone else is learning, so it's a bit difficult to say. But we'll talk about like the actual having real counselling. Do you know what I mean? Like me speaking to a counsellor. I think you have as well, haven't you? So the first time I ever spoke to a counsellor, I don't know, I must have been in my early 20s. What was I there for? I can't remember. This was for like mental health. So I spoke to 2. The first one was for mental health, and I didn't like it at all. I don't think I was ready to mature. I was still pretty like, and the woman was just a completely different world for me. She was like, I was like in my early 20s. She must have been in her 50s and 60s. Everything I felt she was saying was just condescending, probably put me off. And I remember remember one, she even asked me like, oh, what have you done on the weekend and that? Like, so I asked well personal question. I told her, and then she asked for names, and I said this person's name, and she was like, yeah, I know that person. He's been here before and all that, which is like a proper. You're not allowed to do that, man. Like, that's just like the worst counselling ever. Like, after doing counselling courses, I know that's like such a no go. So I think I just didn't go one day. She didn't ring me, ask where I was, and that was years ago. I mean, so
since then you've had other counselling that was pretty successful.
Yeah, so I seen another counsellor that was a bit different. That wasn't for mental health, so that was basically like, it was called a substance misuse counsellor. It's basically a drug and alcohol counsellor. I don't know, I find that one hard to talk about because it's always like such a personal thing, and even when I like, if I was to like, I probably won't go into depth about why so much because I just don't want to like everyone knowing that about me, sort of thing. I'll explain it at one point, but it's also like very personal. Even when I say some of the stuff out loud, it's like there'll be people who are like, "Wow, man, I did not know that like you went through all of that." But to give you a watered down Robinson's version, I guess, I ended up in the general hospital for like it was my 4th visit to hospital off the back of like drugs and alcohol. It was just like I think I was addicted to like self-sabotage. That was my thing. That was my crux, man. That was like, it was never specifically drugs and alcohol, even though I was done that quite intensely for such a long time. I was just like, people were drinking bottles of beer when I was drinking liters of vodka, and like when I'd go home, man, I'd stay up for days on my own, like carrying on taking whatever, just even on my own, like just what. Don't know, but anyway, regardless, I ended up in hospital for the 4th time, and unfortunately my mum was with me, and then a nurse came in and was just like, look, like, how many times do you think you can end up here before something bad happens? And it's just you've been here 3 times, and we know you've been somewhere else once, and that somewhere else was like, if I didn't go to the hospital then it would have been a different story, but and then my mum's crying because she's just heard for the first time that she didn't know about the others. So like, and then they're saying, can you get some help, sort of thing? And when your mum's at the end of your hospital bed crying and you're attached to loads of wires again for like the 4th time in not that long period of time, like a year or 2, that I was just like, yeah, of course, like I'll go speak to someone. I'm gonna do what my mum says. My mum's asking me like, yeah, please. So anyway, without going into too much, that's basically what happened. And then it was, mate, after that weekend, so the general hospital referred me to like drug and alcohol, and got a phone call on like the Monday off a guy, and then he was actually a legend, man. He rang me and he was like, Josh, mate, like, he was speaking to me like he knew me, and he said his name, and I was like, I don't even know who it is. And then I went and I met him, and I did know him from like advanced to work. So mate, our age gap was like a 10-15 year age gap, and I gelled with this dude, man, and we met every week for, mate, over a year, I think. And I think we started off I remember we used to have loads of booklets, and he went over anxiety and he showed me, and it was for the first time in my life, I'd realised the connection that drugs and alcohol has to like depression and anxiety. Like I used to remember like how I would feel on Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, you know what I mean? Like having all these demons on my back, my head in the clouds and all that. I remember that so clearly that I never ever growing up, it was naivety to a mad extent. Just didn't realise that was because of how I was spending my weekends. Do you know what I mean? Friday to Sunday, the sleep deprivation, the lack of food, the not eating, the staying up all night, and the consumption of, things that aren't good for you. So anyway, it taught me so much, like seeing a counsellor, drug and alcohol counsellor who knew and was like very empathic, and I could gel with and speak to and ask him any questions, and we worked through like books, because I remember even for like half of it, it wasn't like a stop, it was like what do you do right now? Okay, statistics wise, so what's your consumption of this, what's your consumption of that, per week, per weekend, whatever. So you go through, it's like, where do you want to be? That's what you started off. Where do you want to be? Are you teetotal, or do you need to draw it in? So I was like, you know, you have to start thinking, how much of a change do I actually want to make? So we went through that, and, you know, and then you go back and he wants you to like write it down. Did you go out this weekend? Did you do this? Did you do that? I did, unfortunately. All right, well, what did you do? Was it better? You know, write it down after every time. I'm not saying that's a good tactic. That's just how we started. That's not what helped me get to where I am, but that was the catalyst. So seeing him for a year, man, by the end of that year, I was just like, and I was also, and it came in a time in my life when it's like, I needed that, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had so many demons, man, that I needed to just get rid of, and that was just the catalyst, and just the slight change, you know what I mean? And after then, it was like a rocky road, and it still is sometimes, but it fucking, I want to say it saved me, but it changed me, like, it changed who I was.
I think it gave you like a new way of looking at the things you've been trying to figure out on your own for so long. Yeah. And then having somebody else's perspective or help you see another way forward, I guess.
Yeah. To have like a professional knowledge helped immensely, because as a naive, immature early 20s, yeah, you just, things go over your head that are so obvious that looking back now in hindsight, it's like, man, all the pieces were there, but they help you see all the pieces in a much clearer light. And that's what the guy had done for me. And, you know, and he was spot on. Years later, I got hold of him and said, you know, like, you know what you did for me that time, man, I appreciate it. I'd love to do that for people. And he said, meet me for lunch. And we went for lunch together. He bought me lunch, and he said, and I said, how did you get to where you are? Do you know what I mean? Like, in your career. And he said, I went to this place and I started a counselling course. That's exactly what I'd done. And now I'm 2 years into, finished my 3rd level of that. And he said, get yourself volunteering. And I've been volunteering at the youth service for a couple of years now. So like, do you know what I mean? All that came, that course I'd done, volunteering at the youth service, the, you know, kind of chilling out, that came from that. But I will say this as well, like, it came at a time in my life when I was ready as well. So and if you're not ready, it's completely different.
So like, how could, like, if someone's out there, how would you know when you were ready? Like, you were quite, I think, if you like talking about your story, you weren't forced, but it was recommended for you because obviously what happened when you were at hospital. Do you think you'd have sought out counselling on your own back at that time in your life?
No.
And do you and this is kind of the issue, isn't it? Like, should more people be open to seeking out help for stuff that they're dealing with? So I think the time where you had these issues and you were in hospital a few times, you probably knew you needed something wasn't right.
Something
you needed help, or you knew you couldn't fix it on your own. But you probably wouldn't have gone out and actively sought help.
No.
And should more people do it?
1000% more people should do it. Anyone should do it. They say you should even go, like, even if just to test it out, because you get to open up, right? And you get to, you put all your cards on the table, and somebody who doesn't know you comes at you from an unbiased opinion and helps you sift through all these things in your life that you don't really know and you can't put into a specific perspective. Sorry. So like, for example, like, if I came to you with my problems, or anybody else, right, you know me, so you're gonna give me some sort of biased advice because you know me, right? And having an unbiased opinion about something is good, and it puts things into perspective as well. Like, so you might go up to a counsellor and they're like, tell me about your life. Why are you here? You know, what's playing on your mind? Say, well, I don't really know. Well, let's start from the beginning. What have you been through? So you say, I've been through A, I've been through B, I've been through C, and then you're like, oh well. So they'll tell you, right, you know, when you were talking about B right there, you kind of brushed over it. You're like, yeah, well, I don't really care about that one. That never affected me. I'm more concerned about C. But they help you see, well, you know, what's that? Is that deflection? Why are you ignoring that one? Let's zone into that one. And then you start learning, well, maybe there's something there I didn't realize. So it opens up doors of like angles. Maybe you've shut them off. Maybe they're not there in the first place. Like, it's hard to explain, but it's not until you get there and start opening up. I bet you half the people that go to therapy, that they come out not even knowing that that's the route it was going to take. Do you know what I mean? And you're not obliged to turn up. You don't have to have it indefinitely. Like, a lot of counsellors say, look, right, we can offer you 5 sessions, all half an hour each, for 5 weeks in a row, every Monday or something. So you're like, go. So you know you're only going for 5. Yeah, it's life changing. Like, I won't really be able to say no if it's like for mental health, because mine was for, like, obviously drugs and alcohol, which is a little bit different, but it would help regardless. I think, like, I know that, like, and it's good. It's cathartic to open up as well, like, because you're speaking to a stranger, but it's not a complete stranger. It's someone that you end up having a rapport with to a degree, even though it's just a professional one. So when you get to talk about things in this room where no judgment is ever going to be passed to you, no, you might be like a fucking psycho, but you're allowed to tell that person of all these psychotic thoughts that go through your head. Do you know what I mean? Where you could never do that in society. You can tell them about anything, stuff you've never been able to open up to anyone, because it's never going to go anywhere. And to say that out loud, I've left like places, like even on my counselling course, man, when I've had conversations about like family or life or something like that. On my drive home, mate, there's something new in me that I didn't realise that I needed to get off my chest. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it would be like for other people. If you're scared to speak to someone, if you're scared to have therapy, like, you don't realise that you need to talk to someone, because once it's out, once you verbally put it out there in the open, it's like a weight lifted off your shoulders. How cliche as that sound, it really is that simple.
Do you think it is still a bit taboo?
Yeah, I would say. Do you know what I always found with? I don't think it's taboo in the sense that other people will take the mickey out of you, but I think there's something like cowardice that you feel about yourself needing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to go to therapy because then something's wrong with me.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's almost like the view is you only need therapy if something's wrong with you. So it's like, if you go to therapy, almost admitting that or accepting that there's something wrong with you. So maybe it's... that's what puts people off.
Well, yeah, but like people who are really crazy don't even know they're crazy. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's an alternative to medication as well. Like, people are so quick to give you like sertraline or citalopram or, you know, all these like antidepressant medications that they might work for you, but it's cathartic in a sense to just go and talk.
And is that treating the core issue, or is it just alleviating the symptoms in that?
Yeah.
You know, do you know what I mean? You're not treating why you're feeling that way. You're
subduing something that will still be there when your medication term comes to an end. So what you're going to do, you're going to stick for them to life. But what a therapist or a counsellor will do for you is they ask open-ended questions, you know, not yes or no questions. So as you're speaking, you have to reflect. So like, I can't think of a specific question right now, but when they say it out in the open, then they'll ask you a question off the back of it. So it makes your mind start clicking. They do a lot of restating as well. Like, restating is a big thing, and paraphrasing. So if you say something, they repeat the exact same phrase back to you. So it cements in yourself what you've just said. So you realize what you've just said, because it might, if like how I'm speaking now quite fast, I might say something, but I don't even realize I've said it, or it's not something that's gonna, you know, I'm gonna reflect on, because I've moved on from it. So if you restated a specific sentence, then I'm thinking about that specific sentence. Why did I say that? And the open-ended questions, they make you open up. Do you know what I mean? They make you can't just say yes or no. You have to go into it and delve into it and dive into it. And I think, you know, a lot of people haven't had easy childhoods. So they've had, you know, bad stuff happen to them. Like, and it's loads of people, man. Like, do you know what I mean? So I think it's 100% beneficial to go see a counsellor. And the thing is, now you can be honest as well. You can say, look, I want to see you, and this is why, and this is what's going on in my head. And, you know, it's that easy. Like, you can just be honest and say, and then people, like a doctor will tell you, like, here's this person for you, here's that person for you. Like, or even Jersey talking therapies, where you can just walk down and have a chat with someone, and they're nice, man. Do you know what I mean? They'll tell you, this is what I think you need to do. Yeah. They're professionals. There's help out there, man. And I just think if your head's in a rut, because what you can do is you can not get help and just prolong and be in the exact same day, Groundhog Day, for years because you haven't addressed it, or you could address it and start a new life if it's that severe, if that's what's going on. But I know you said you had a little little dabble with
last year. We did on a lot of the podcasts, the ads for BetterHelp.
I don't
know if you've heard them. So it's an online, basically it's just, it's online therapy, in that you have video calls, but it's this website platform where you put in all your details and then it will assign you to a relevant therapist, and it's just a cheaper model. But in the ad it says you don't need to have something wrong with you to get therapy. And it just kind of, I was like, that's quite interesting. So I'll give it a go. And I think everybody's got stuff about them that they don't like, they wish was different or whatever. So I thought I'd give it a go, see how it was. But I think maybe I was in the place where you were the first time, where I wasn't ready for it. I didn't feel like I needed it. I was just kind of more curious, I guess. So I didn't enjoy the experience, and I didn't enjoy it because, and I think you said a couple of things like the open-ended questions and stuff that I disregarded or never given any thought to, that were kind of sticking on. And maybe that is the purpose, the objective, and maybe that is what you should be doing. But it felt like we were trying to assign blame to things in my life, or things that I wanted to change about myself, to certain events in my life that I'd never given any thought to.
Yeah.
It didn't feel right, me saying that was the reason why. So I did it for, I think I did 5 sessions with this guy. And firstly, I don't think video was great. I don't think doing it on Zoom was the best way to do that kind of thing. And 2, I just don't think it was the right time for me to do it. But the one thing I did enjoy was just speaking about stuff that I would never normally speak about.
Yeah.
That was quite an enjoyable experience, in that I don't speak to Megan about that type of stuff. I don't really speak to any of my friends about that type of stuff, because it's not therapy sessions. It's like, so that was a nice part of it. It was just, I didn't really enjoy I don't know, I want to say like the feel of it, the theme of it.
Yeah. You mentioned it to me before. Like, I think you had a bit of an issue with trying to pinpoint it to one thing.
And like, I almost kind of didn't see the benefit of figuring out why I was the way I was, because I'm almost in the position where, like, even if I know why, I can't change something that happened long ago. I know what my faults are. I know what I would want to change about myself. So I'm trying the best to manage it or be better in those areas. So does really trying to figure out why, is that going to be beneficial to me? And it's going to take a lot of time. It's probably going to not be a fun experience. You know what I mean? I'm probably going to have to dig up some stuff that I don't want to speak about. So
Sure.
that was kind of where my head was at. So it was...
But even you doing that, like, me hearing you saying that, like, maybe that's just was your result. Like, that was the answer.
Yeah.
That you didn't need it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That what you found out was that you didn't need it. But but by going and trying, that's what you found out.
Yeah, exactly.
Because whatever it was you were asking him, I might need a little bit of help with this, a little bit of help with that. Like one of your questions then was, do I want to know? Do I need to work it out?
Yeah.
And if you don't see a sense in needing to work it out, then maybe that's your answer is no, I don't.
I think that's it. It's like when it's that thing. It's like if you go to a hypnosis show and you're not fully kind of open to the idea that you can actually be hypnotized, you're never going to be hypnotized. It's like you have to be open to the experience, open to the process, and if you're not, it probably isn't the right time for you.
Exactly, yeah. Allow yourself to be at least a little bit susceptible.
Exactly, where I think I was quite like, I don't think I was ready. But I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I tried it, because it kind of, like you say, it gave me the answer. This probably isn't the right time for you at this stage.
No.
To start kind of this process.
And how easy was that for you to inquire and then turn up to your first meeting?
If somebody... Again, I don't know. There's been like a couple of articles about the quality of the therapist on there, but I don't think any of it's been verified. It was just when it first came out, about saying how do you verify the qualifications and the experience. But to sign up and get assigned with a therapist, so easy. And I think it was like £20 a session, which is a fraction of what you would pay if somebody can't afford it. I think it's quite a good option. And for some people, meeting somebody in person could be scary. You can do a video call, you can just do a phone call. So I think it gets a lot of good reviews.
Yeah. No, it's wise to have the multiple options as well, because that sort of world shouldn't just be your ability to step into it shouldn't be dictated by how much money you have.
Exactly. It shouldn't be off limits for people because they can't afford it.
Exactly. That's 100% true.
What I have done before though is, and it's a little bit different, I've done coaching, which was a professional coach I worked with, and I loved that experience. for a lot of the reasons you said, speaking to somebody who's completely doesn't know you, and it's like it's actionable steps on how you can improve the areas you want to improve, and I love that. And I think it was similar to therapy, and like she would joke sometimes, like she has to remind me and like clients, this isn't therapy, this is coaching. You know, I'm not a therapist. We're here to kind of.
All right.
But it was I loved it, and I would recommend coaching to anyone, and I'll do it again. I think maybe towards the end of this year, when I have a bit more time, I'll do it.
So with that, what sort of objective do you come to that person with?
Yeah, so you come basically, you complete a question, it was like a questionnaire, and then what are the 3 things you want to work on? And I would give 3 things I think I'm not very good at that I would like to be better at. And then I can't remember the name of it, but you basically draw it out and you rate yourself in each area, and then you track your progress each week. And at the end of each session, you get almost like homework, actionable steps, right? In work next week, you need to do these 3 things, or you need to do this twice next week. And then you come back, you talk about it, how you found it, and then you rate yourself, but you don't get to see your previous scores.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be like, you're supposed to see your honest assessment of your progress. But I love that. I think it's what's the word? It's not more actionable. Like therapy, the therapy I had was just a lot of talking and trying to figure out stuff from the past. Whereas this was looking forward. I want to do this. I want to be better at this. Okay, this is how we're going to do it.
Sound. And then how long did you do that for?
So I did about 8 weeks. You can do as long as you want.
Yeah.
But I did 8 weeks, and I felt after that it was enough at that time for the things I wanted to work on, and definitely seen an improvement. But it was just great conversation that I wouldn't normally have with anybody else. And I think therapy, coaching, counselling, whatever it might be, good conversation about these kind of topics that you wouldn't normally talk about is almost like therapeutic in itself.
Therapeutic. Like,
yeah,
it's there.
Yeah, like I think we were saying the other day, or I was saying to you how this podcast has been a little bit therapeutic, because me and you have got into some topics that I don't normally speak about in my day-to-day life. Don't really have that kind of outlet where we get into some quite heavy topics. We speak about them at length. We really have to think about what we really feel about them.
Yes.
We have to kind of talk about it. So that's probably something that a lot of people, including us, before we started this, lacked in our life, was just that kind of deep, meaningful conversation about these topics that in itself is probably going to be super beneficial for most people. So
yeah, do you know what? I think that's how we started our first episode. I think the intro to our first episode is talking about us having these conversations.
Yeah,
because obviously we had done it quite a lot before our actual first podcast episode. But everything you just said is so true. Like, I find it cathartic when I come here and talk to you. Sometimes it dawned on me like how much I don't speak, throughout the rest of the week, or have in-depth conversations. I might have the odd one, but like I might speak here now tonight more than I might speak in the rest of my week combined. And it is cathartic in a sense that like you said, you have to do self-reflecting. You have to look at yourself and think, how do you feel about certain topics? You have to do a bit of research, which gets you learning again and gets you like up and moving and motivated. And it like this whole thing's it's gave me a bit of a drive. It's gave me objectives, gave me something to work towards.
Yeah.
And even just speaking, like I like speaking, and like working from home, I don't get to do that throughout the day. I'm on my own.
And it's like the depth of the conversation. Like I spend all week talking to people at work on the phone. I'm like on the phone probably 5 hours a day at the minute because of the project, but it's like there's no substance to it. I mean, even like the small talk and that, when other than when we sit down to do this, do we go into the depth that we do, and the types of topics that are like, they're important topics that you just wouldn't normally speak about. So yeah, it's good, like if therapy and if counselling aren't really something you're wanting to do, if like coaching's not really on the table for you, maybe just finding a mate or a group, like a couple of your mates who would be open to this type of format, and just sitting down and seeing where it goes.
Yeah,
that in itself could be an option.
Exactly. Like, just because we've lost that, I think, you know, through COVID and through growing up especially, is that we all become individuals in our own sort of way, and we all become, you know, we distance ourselves from other people, not out of a way that we want to, it's just how life starts panning out. So we lose that. So meeting up with someone, and we've all got issues, man. We're all going through, you know, so if it's something to do with your relationship, your family, everyone has something that they would love to just go and speak to someone about. And you know what? People are more susceptible to listening to you than you think.
Yeah.
So even if you don't want to rock up to therapy, just rock up to your mate's house. If you drive, go pick your mate up, go for a drive and speak, man, and they'll speak to you. And you like, we've become closer. Do you know what I mean? Your relationships become like better relationships,
deeper and like more meaningful, isn't it?
Yeah, like the only person that I ever speak to like this is obviously completely different topic, but is my nan, and my relationship with her is solid. And that's because she's one of the only people where, like, when I rock up to her house, she speaks, she turns off the TV or turns the volume down and looks at me, man, and has nothing else, and she's so inquisitive, and she asks me questions, and sometimes there's a lot to it, but it's questions and questions and questions and questions, but she does that because of how much she cares about me. Do you know what I mean? And how much she loves me, and like my relationship with her is like something I don't have. So
think how much more we've got to know each other, like really got to know each other in the 8-10 weeks we've been doing this. And prior to this 8 to 10 weeks, we'd known each other for 10-15. I don't even how long we'd known each other yet, but we've probably learned more about the real us in the last 10 weeks than we had in 10 years prior to that. So
that's so true. Because we give our conversation structure as well. Like our time spent together is structured around, like, we're about to choose what we say, where, you know, we were closer maybe like a lot of years ago, but in between then and now, as life just saying, like, we didn't have that sort of relationship. Deep drunk conversations, and we knew like we both liked these topics and that, but we didn't get into it in like a real structured sober's a big part, I think, way where we're really trying to like figure it out together. So it's been a great experience. It's been a class experience, and that's all it takes, is meeting up and like just chatting. Like, it's so good. You learn a lot about yourself as well on the route down there, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
So like, if therapy and that's scary, you don't want to do it, then even just speaking to someone, that's what the message we're trying to get across here, isn't it? That speaking to someone is like so important, man. It's good for your mental health more than I think you take it for granted.
Yeah.
You take it for granted. You don't realise how much of a necessity it is.
Exactly.
To be happy.
And I'd even say, like, even if you're not struggling with mental health, like, this is such a rewarding experience. There's so many benefits. Like, do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
1000%. Just do it anyway. And I guess our other messages before we like head to the end and wrap up is that, like, if you do need professional help, it's so easy to get. And just like, honestly, I know this is going to sound abrupt, but just go and do it, man. And then you'll see for yourself whether it's for you or not. But if you think you need help, or like if you think you need to go and speak to someone for whatever it is, like, what I'm trying to get at is there's nothing too small or too big, you know what I mean? That like, you can go and find out if it's something that needs addressed a bit more, like Jersey Talking Therapy's down in town or something. Just go and just say, this is my problem. Like, what type of problem is it? If you don't know because you're not aware enough, or you don't have that type of like self-reflecting experience, just go and speak to someone and they'll let you know, like, you need a counsellor, or you need this sort of therapist, or, oh, I don't think that's too much of an issue, like that might be a problem with this, and you can just like they'll help you sort stuff out, man. It's good.
No, it's good. Yeah, I think you're right. Someone else can help you by helping you to see it in a different light, give you a different perspective. And it might be that it doesn't work, but what have you got to lose by just going to speak to someone for informal chat?
Informal chat, that's it. You can have an informal chat. That doesn't have to be this like scary cloud around it of like a big, you know, therapy thing. Like, especially like I'm trying to like say to young adults is you can do it in private as well, man. Like, there doesn't have to be a nervousness around it that's stopping you from going. Like, just it's you can do it in private and no one would ever know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like it's up to you.
No, it's good advice, mate.
Cool, man. Should we wrap that up there?
Nice one, mate. Good to have you back.
Yes, buddy. Let's go. Subscribe as well, man.